I'm going to ask the listeners to accept, for the sake of argument, because I don't have time to go through Roswell and the Reich and the case I laid out there, that Roswell was not about ETs, it was about Nazis. I'm just going to ask everybody to accept, for the sake of argument, that what crashed at Roswell was a product of some of this Nazi technology. Now, what does that mean? Let's assume you're the United States Air Force and you come across a bunch of wreckage in the New Mexico desert of something that looks Nazi, okay? And then you bring in your intelligence officer at the local atomic bomb airbase, Jesse Marcel. You have him look at it. You bring this stuff back to the base. Everybody says, oh, that's odd. And then according to the Magic 12 documents, you bring in a bunch of these Nazi scientists that you've got handy in the area to look at this stuff and say, does this look familiar? Were you guys doing any of this? And some of them, oh yeah, you know, some of that's kind of familiar. And in those Magic 12 documents, let's recall, just since we're talking about ufology, let's recall that some of those documents are describing things like gears. Now, you know, extraterrestrial aircraft, gears? Really? Are you serious? And on we go. All right. The point is, what would the United States Air Force, and for that matter, the American military leadership, think if all of a sudden they discover something Nazi has crashed in the New Mexico desert 2 years after the war is supposed to be over? Would you hit the panic button? Yeah, you betcha. Would you attempt to cover up the story by saying, oh, it's a weather balloon, it's an extraterrestrial aircraft? Yeah, you betcha you would. You'd obfuscate this story so badly. And for me, the killer here is that when ufology argues that this event was an extraterrestrial event, one of the documents that they always point to is the Air Intelligence Collection Memorandum that was drafted after Roswell by Brigadier General Shulgin, Charles Shulgin. And this document does exist, and it exists incidentally in two forms, a fake one and a real one, okay? In both versions, this is the killer, in both versions, after you get all of this description of this strange technology, you have Shulgin asking, we need to find out where the heck the Horten brothers are. Well, the Horten brothers were the German aerospace engineers that were designing these big flying wings that I told about earlier. Well, why would you be looking for the Horten brothers if you thought that this was a crashed extraterrestrial aircraft? What would they possibly have to contribute to the thing? Why would you bring in a bunch of Nazi scientists, according to the Magic 12 documents, to look at something that you suspected was extraterrestrial? Why would you show this to your former enemies at all? Mm-hmm. My reasoning is the Air Force isn't that stupid nor that careless. You know, you simply wouldn't do that. Mm-hmm. But if you suspected a German origin for it, yeah, you'd bring them in. You'd want to know. So if you suspect it's Nazi, then you're confronted with a problem. Where the heck are these things coming from?
And they probably didn't come from Germany.
And they probably didn't come from Germany.
Argentina,
Germany,
Chile.
Argentina, Chile, those are good places. And guess where the Horten brothers happen to be? Argentina.
Yeah, Argentina.
So, yeah, and, you know, all the other strange stuff going on down there. So I think the Roswell story is one of these cases where you have a complete obfuscation of the data, which if you go through the data slowly and carefully and without prejudice to this ET narrative that's got attached to it, you're going to discover that most of the technologies being described are terrestrial in nature. You're going to discover that the reported flight characteristics of this thing certainly fall far short of anything having an interplanetary or interstellar capability. This is my whole problem with the whole narrative. It just does not make sense.